I never imagined the hands that once braided my hair and wiped my tears would be the same ones that left me bleeding and alone in a cold hospital bed. My name is Rashida Khan. I'm 57 years old, a widow living in our old family house in Islamabad. After the accident that shattered my leg and cracked 3 ribs, my younger sister Aisha abandoned me there and simply disappeared. But 5 days later, the truth that crawled out of the silence nearly killed me a second time. Let me take you back, slowly, the way life really unfolds. Not in shouts, but in quiet moments that you only understand when it's too late. Before that terrible evening, our days were gentle and ordinary. Every morning the smell of fresh paratha and chai filled the kitchen. Aisha, 52, would hum old Noor Jahan songs while stirring the pot, her dupatta slipping off one shoulder the way it always did. I'd tease her, "Bibi, cover yourself properly," and she'd laugh that soft, throaty laugh and say, "Appa, who is there to see us now? We are each other's whole world." After my husband passed, and her own marriage ended years ago, we became each other's shadow. My 2 children, both settled in Canada, would video call on Sundays, but Aisha was the one who held my hand when the electricity went out during summer load shedding, the one who massaged my aching knees with warm mustard oil at night. We shared everything. The small pension, the memories of our mother, even the old almirah full of our late parents' clothes that we could never bring ourselves to throw away. The house smelled of rosewater and old books. Life felt safe. Blood felt enough. Yet now, lying here with the heart monitor beeping like a ticking clock, I remember the small changes I tried to ignore. A month before the crash, Aisha started locking her phone. She'd step into the courtyard to talk, voice low and hurried. When I asked, she'd smile too quickly and say, "Just an old school friend. Appa, nothing important." New gold bangles appeared on her wrist. "A small gift from myself," she explained. I told myself she deserved little joys after everything she'd endured. I pushed the unease away the way we push away a single gray hair. Then came that rainy evening. We were returning from the market in her small Suzuki. The truck came out of nowhere. Metal screamed. Glass rained. When I opened my eyes in the emergency ward, Aisha was there, her face pale, holding my hand so tightly her nails left marks. "Don't worry, Appa," she whispered, voice trembling. "I'll handle everything, the papers, the insurance, the doctors. I'll be right back after I run home for your documents." She kissed my forehead, the way she had done since we were children. I believed her. Why wouldn't I? But hours turned into a day. Then another. The nurses grew quiet when I asked about my sister. "She hasn't come back, Mrs. Khan?" one finally said gently, avoiding my eyes. The empty chair beside my bed stared at me like an accusation. My phone had no missed calls from her. No messages. Just silence. Something cold settled in my chest. Not fear yet. Just the first small crack in the world I thought I knew. 5 days. 5 long, fluorescent-lit days of waiting for footsteps that never came. The hospital ward smelled of Dettol and stale tea. Every time the curtain parted, I lifted my head, hoping to see Aisha's familiar silhouette, the way she always pushed her dupatta back with one impatient flick. But it was only nurses with clipboards, or the cleaner dragging his mop in slow, tired arcs across the tiles. My leg was in a heavy cast. The painkillers made my thoughts swim, and the silence from my sister grew louder than the beeping machines. On the 4th day, my elder son Bilal called from Toronto. His voice cracked through the speaker. "Ammi, where is Kala? She hasn't answered my messages. The insurance people are asking for documents." I told him the truth in the smallest voice I could manage. She said she was coming back with the papers. "She hasn't come." There was a long pause. Then he said quietly, "Ammi, I'm booking a ticket. I'll be there in 2 days." I didn't cry then. I just stared at the ceiling cracks that looked like broken veins. That same afternoon, one of the junior doctors, a kind young man with tired eyes, came to check my chart. He hesitated, then lowered his voice. "Mrs. Khan, your sister did come, but only once more, the night after the accident. She spoke to the admin office." He glanced toward the door as if someone might overhear. "She asked about your policy, how much the hospital bill would be covered. Then she signed some papers and left. I thought you should know." My heart gave a strange, heavy thud. I asked him to repeat it. He did, slowly. The words landed like stones in still water. Aisha had come back. Not to sit by my bed. Not to hold my hand. To ask about money. I lay there for hours after he left, replaying every recent memory like an old cassette tape. The locked phone. The new bangles. The hurried calls in the courtyard. The way she'd started saying, more and more often, "Appa, life is so expensive now. Everything is slipping away." I had nodded, thinking she meant the price of ATA, the electricity bills. I had never once thought she meant me. On the 5th morning, the ward sister brought me my phone. Someone had finally charged it. There were no messages from Aisha, but there was one from the bank. A security alert. A large transfer had been attempted from our joint savings account. The emergency fund we had built together after my husband's death. The amount requested was almost everything we had. The bank had flagged it because the OTP went to Aisha's number, not mine. My fingers shook so badly I could barely hold the phone. I called the bank. The customer service lady was gentle but firm. "Ma'am, your sister came in person 2 days ago with both your NICs and the joint account passbook. She said it was an emergency, hospital expenses. We stopped the full transfer because the signature didn't match perfectly. But she withdrew what she could in cash. 35 lakhs. The rest is frozen until you confirm. 35 lakhs. The money we swore we would never touch unless one of us was dying. The money meant for my surgery if the leg didn't heal right. The money that was supposed to keep our little house standing when we grew too old to work." I didn't scream. I didn't throw the phone. I just closed my eyes and let the tears run sideways into the pillow. Because in that moment I understood something worse than betrayal. Aisha hadn't just left me in the hospital. She had planned to leave me forever. Broken, and believing she was still coming back. When Bilal arrived the next evening, I was already sitting up in bed. The discharge papers signed. My face must have told him everything before I spoke a word. He knelt beside the bed, took my hand, and whispered, "Amy, I'm so sorry." I shook my head. "No," I said. "I'm the one who should be sorry. I trusted too easily." We didn't go home right away. Instead, we went to the bank together. Then to the police station. Not for revenge, I was too tired for revenge. But for truth. Because some silences need to be broken, even if the sound hurts. We sat in the small, stuffy police station room that smelled of old files and ceiling fans that never quite cooled anything. Bilal held my hand the whole time while the sub-inspector listened without interrupting. I told him everything, the accident, the promises, the hospital visits that never happened, the bank withdrawal, the frozen account. I didn't raise my voice once. I didn't need to. The truth carried its own weight. The officer nodded slowly, tapping his pen against the desk. "We'll file an FIR for attempted fraud and breach of trust. Since it's a joint account and she had access, it's complicated, but the hospital documents and the mismatched signature will help. We'll trace her phone and bank movements." He looked at me with something close to pity. "Apthi ko jng, auntie. Blood doesn't always mean loyalty." I didn't answer. I just signed where they told me to sign. Word spread quietly at first, the way gossip does in our mahalla. A whisper at the corner store, a concerned call from a cousin, a neighbor knocking with a plate of sheer kurma, just because. People didn't shout accusations. They lowered their voices and asked, "Rashida Baji, is it true about Aisha?" I answered the same way each time. "Yes, it's true. No more, no less." Some offered anger on my behalf. Others offered silence and tea. Both helped in their own way. A week later, the police found her. Not far, she had rented a small flat in Rawalpindi, using part of the money she took. She wasn't living lavishly. She was hiding. When they brought her in for questioning, she didn't deny it. Through tears, she told them she was scared. Scared of growing old with nothing. Scared the money would run out before we did. Scared I would die first and leave her alone with bills she couldn't pay. She said she planned to send some back later, when things settled. She said she loved me still. I didn't go to see her. Bilal did. He came back pale and quiet. She cried the whole time, "Amy." She kept saying sorry. She asked if you would ever forgive her. I looked out the window at the neem tree we planted together 30 years ago. Its leaves moved in the breeze like nothing had changed. "Forgiveness isn't a switch you flip," I told him. "It's a long road. I'm not there yet." The court case moved slowly, as these things do. The bank returned what was left. The hospital bill was covered by insurance after all. Aisha had paid part of it before she vanished, perhaps the last honest thing she did. I sold the old Suzuki. We didn't need 2 cars anymore. Bilal stayed 2 months, helped me hire a part-time helper for the house, fixed the leaking tap in the kitchen, and made me promise I would call every day. Now the house is quieter. The almirah still holds our parents' clothes, but I've started folding Aisha's share separately. In a small steel trunk I keep under the bed. Not out of hope, out of memory. Because even when someone breaks your trust, they don't erase the years they helped build your life. I walk with a limp these days, but I walk. The pain in my leg reminds me I survived. The ache in my heart reminds me I can survive more. I make chai alone now, but I still hum the old songs. Sometimes I catch myself looking toward the gate, half expecting her shadow. I don't know if she'll ever come back. I don't know if I want her to. But I do know this: family isn't just blood. It's the people who stay when the storm hits, and the strength you find when they don't. If you've ever been left by someone you thought would never leave, you understand how deep that wound goes. It doesn't heal clean. The scars. But scars can still carry you forward. Would you have opened your door if she came back? Or would you have kept it closed, the way I still do some nights? Tell me in the comments below. Your stories matter here. If this touched something in you, share it with someone who needs to hear they're not alone. And if you want more stories like this, real, raw, and full of the lessons life teaches the hard way, subscribe to Broken Trust Stories. Hit that bell so you never miss when trust breaks and how we mend.